Hello and welcome to another AIC Productions video. Today I wanted to talk about electric skateboards. So I've done a few videos on electric skateboards. I purchased an inexpensive one off of Amazon not too long ago, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I probably put about 150, probably close to 200 miles on it. I rode it a lot. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of an accident with it a few about a month and a half ago. I was riding through the neighborhood, and I typically ride after I put my kids to bed. So I was riding at night and in the dark. And I do have some lights and stuff that I have on me when I ride, so I'm easy to be seen. But it doesn't do for me is it doesn't really give me a lot of forward vision, and I wasn't paying as much attention as I probably should have, and I ended up riding through a fairly significant puddle. Basically, what happened is one of my neighbors was draining their pool for the season, something that happens quite frequently here. They were doing it in the evening, and there was a lot of water in one of the drainage. I don't even know what they're called, but at the corners of a street. It was basically a big flood, and I just didn't see it clearly enough to know what it was. I thought it was just a shadow, and I went through it and soaked the skateboard. The boards are water resistant, but the water was deep enough to go above my ankles while on the board, so it got thoroughly saturated, and it still did technically work afterwards. I just had significantly reduced battery life and overall speed. So the skateboard you see on the screen, it is not the skateboard I bought. It is one very similar, and I'll throw a link to all the boards I talk about here in the description down below. It's the same motor and battery pack as the board that I had. And so looking at it here, there were a couple problems with this board for me. And again, the board you're looking at is not the board I had. The one I had was more of a longboard style board. However, they both suffer from the same issue as being too short and too narrow. So that was one of the biggest problems I had with these boards is being short and narrow. At lower speeds, handling on them was okay, but at when I was going full tilt, it got up to 11 and a half, 12 miles an hour, and it would actually become kind of unstable, get a little bit wobbly there sometimes, especially if I hit any kind of rocks or anything. It would not be the most stable platform to be standing on. The other problem I had, being that it was a one wheel motor, or motor on just one of the wheels, it um, it would have some funny handling characteristics. So it would either lose grip or have too much grip on that wheel with the motor, and it would be easier to turn going one way versus the other. And braking is another thing, is it wouldn't always brake very straight, especially if the drive wheel had more or less traction than the other wheels, so it would kind of slide out. So this is the board I had. I really enjoyed it. I really did. Like I said, I put 150, 200 miles on it easy, so I definitely rode it a lot. But it was also slow, and the battery didn't last very long. So I went on to Amazon, my favorite shopping place, and I just did a search for electric skateboard, and you have dozens of pages of options. And so I wanted to talk about kind of what's out there and what I was looking for. So this is a board, this Blitzart Hurricane, 38 inch, so it's a little bit longer. The trucks, if you look at the bottom, the trucks are obviously wider than the board I had. And this was the one I had in my cart. I was very much set on purchasing this specific skateboard, but I didn't do it for a while, for a few reasons. But let's talk. I like this one because it was longer than my last one. It had wider trucks than my last one, had a bigger battery than my last one, and it had a bigger motor than the last one. But it did have some issues, like I said. The first one being that it was still just a one motor wheel, and the battery pack, as you can see, goes along the whole bottom of the skateboard, which means you basically have no flex, which makes the board, in my opinion, a little bit harder to ride because your legs absorb a lot more of the imperfections in the road, and it's a lot more tiring, long and harder on your knees and things like that if you're riding a longer distance. But this is the board I had. This is one I set on. Blitzart seems to be a very legitimate company. They have a very good website. You can buy replacement parts on their website. They have a warranty that you can access them through their website. So if you're interested, I definitely think this is a good option. It just wasn't the option for me, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But I was looking because I really wanted something with two motors, and this is their two motor option, but it's a huge jump in price. It's $200 more to go up to a two motor system, and it still has the battery pack. Let's do have a good picture. You can kind of see here the battery pack still goes along the entire length of the bottom of the board, and so I wasn't willing to jump up to their next biggest step. So there's a couple of review sites online, and this is one of the boards that seems to get a lot of very positive feedback. It's the Wowogo 2S, and then there's also the Meepo, which is a very similar board. They have this is a I don't know what kind of material the deck is made out of, plastic basically, and these are two motor boards. But they're cheaper than the two motor board from Blitzart. And so they were definitely on my list, but the price was a bit of a jump from what I was willing to pay right away for a new board. And so I was saving up. I was saving up for one of these, and then I kept looking, and I came across this. And there's a few versions of this. It is an aftermarket, or it is a Chinese board. But if you look at it, there's the Wowogo, and then there's this board. And if you notice, this board is very much a knockoff of this board. The board shape is extremely similar. The battery pack and controller packs are extremely similar. And so as you can see here, I purchased this skateboard right here. I purchased it back on December 21st, and it is actually being delivered today. It has the same controller as the board that I had, which is nice. I don't have to learn a new controller. It has two motors, two drive wheels. You can see those down there. It has a bigger battery, and it's split in the middle between the battery and the controller pack. I believe the top part is the battery and the lower part's the controller. And so it allows for more flex in the board, which means going over bumps and things like that will be a little bit nicer. And if you look at the price, it was only $299 with free shipping. We'll talk about the free shipping here in a minute. If you noticed, I bought it on December 21st, and today is January 2nd. And I know there's some holiday stuff in there, but they shipped it via FedEx ground, and not FedEx, UPS ground, and UPS is probably the worst shippers ever. Now, there's a few different versions of this board under different names. This is under the Vox Pre name, and it's the same price at $299, free shipping. And then, even the pictures are basically the same. And then there's this one, which is stylized, has a pattern on the deck there, and it's a little bit more money. I want to say it's $50 more for this one. And so I went ahead. I bought this one for $299. And again, I'll put a link to these in the description if you're interested in looking at them. In addition to it's longer, it's wider trucks, it's dual motors, bigger battery. The wheels also look like they're a little bit better protected from stones. That's one of the problems I had with my original board. It's kind of hard to see, but the wheels there, the drive wheel, where the screws are, got pretty munched from rocks and debris. Where with this board, it looks like the screws are a little bit better protected from damage from road debris. So that's what I'm getting. When I get it, I will definitely do an unboxing. I'll do initial impressions, all that jazz on it. hopefully it's as good as my last board as far as reliability and quality. I'll be more careful to avoid large puddles for sure. Some of the other boards I was looking at, this is another one I was looking at. It has the larger battery pack, but again, it's just a single motor and a large battery pack right in the middle of the board. But it's for the same price, so it's very interesting. I haven't ridden a belt-driven skateboard yet, so I don't know the difference between a hub motor and a belt-driven motor. I'm pretty sure the belt-driven ones have a lot more torque in them, so that might be something worth. If you live in a more hilly area, then you want to lean more maybe towards a belt-driven skateboard for the torque. This is another common option on Amazon, but it has that same problem with that battery pack right in the middle of the skateboard, and it's a smaller battery pack, so you have a much lower range and speed, and it's still just one motor, but it is cheaper. It's only $200, so for $100 less, you get fewer options, but you can still get riding for $200. Another option is this one. Again, dual motor, the controller I like, longer deck, wider trucks, all of which I like, but just the one battery pack right there in the middle, and it's not as big of a battery pack either. So, you know, and it's more money. So this was definitely not one I was going to purchase. This is one of the ones I was looking at before I purchased the one that I did because it does have the dual motors. There is this one, which is another. I'm not giving name brands on these because they're sold under a bunch of different brand names. It is a dual motor with a nice big battery pack, but it's a shorter board. It's only 32 versus 36 or 38 inches. But it looks like it has wider trucks, which is nice. But that big old battery pack right there on the bottom of the board probably means that the board has almost no flex at all whatsoever. And again, it really depends on your preference, but this is just riding on any road imperfection, anything like that's going to be translated up into your feet and into your legs and knees. So I wanted to avoid that. Here's the Max Fine. This is another board I initially was looking at, but there's definitely better options out there. And so I would not necessarily recommend this one. It has a much smaller battery pack and just a single motor. And then the last one on the list of ones that this is a new one to me. It wasn't an option when I purchased the other one a couple weeks ago, but it does just have that larger battery pack, but it is kind of pushed off to the one side. But it's a dual belt driven skateboard. So you have the battery pack that's larger, and you have the dual motor, but it is belt driven. So this might be an option, and it's still it's just over $300 if you include the shipping, and it has the controller I like. So this might be an option for somebody again if you're a hilly area, something like that. It'd be nice to get somebody's opinion on this one. So we'll see. But I definitely will be getting that skateboard later today, and we will be doing a review on it. If you have any questions on any of these skateboards, I've done a lot of research. Happy to do my best to answer any questions you might have. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.